Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Brian, over here with us, I am very excited to introduce Brian and share his amazing journey. Something that I always wanted to do is be a CTO in my life, and what's better than being able to do it for multiple clients at the same time, right? So, without any further delay, let me introduce Brian. Brian, enlighten us how you got started, what you do, and how you reached where you are today.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here with you. So my path to becoming a chief technology officer, a CTO, was not a straight or a smooth path, but by any means. So most of my career I've spent in technology, working as a software engineer, working as a software architect
Mm-hmm.
for companies everywhere from a one or two person startup all the way into, Fortune 100 type companies. And on that journey, each one of the different projects and teams that I've had a chance to work with, I've learned something that's really valuable that I get to now bring to my clients every day as a fractional CTO.
Yeah, makes sense. So, what is involved? I have just so many questions about it. But what's involved in being a fractional CTO? Like, how do you balance uh, time across multiple companies? And every single company would probably have more work than anybody can ever do, right? How do you manage to share your time?
Yeah, it's it's interesting. So the term fractional and the concept is really fairly new to us here in the United States. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly for chief technology officers, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very new thing. But really the way that I work with my clients is kind of in different levels of service or on specific contracts or projects. And
Mm-hmm.
so the way that I structure things is I may be very hands-on with an engineering project. We're building something so that it can scale. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
or I might just be in an advisory capacity where, if the founder or someone in the business has a question that's technology related, they can lean on me. They know they have me as a resource.
Okay.
Um, I could even just be, the pretty face that's making sure that the technology is in the right place for, someone that's going out and raising money or looking at a potential acquisition. The role that I play can really vary across clients.
Makes
Um,
sense. Yeah. And is there a size of an organization? Does it matter? Like, is it possible to be like fractional CTO on a very large corporation? Or do you see, uh, is there a stage or a maturity of an organization that matters in terms of being a full-time versus uh, kind of being a fractional CTO?
Yeah, it's a great question. And there can be kind of a cutoff. It's not a really well-defined cutoff of when does somebody become a
Mhm.
full-time chief technology officer for
Yeah.
an organization versus being fractional. And it really comes down to the business needs and what they focus on. If it's a very software-focused, a SaaS platform, for example, then they
Mhm.
probably need a chief technology officer early on in
Yeah.
their process or in their growth phase. For me, I like to focus on organizations that are kind of post MVP stage and starting to grow and scale.
Mhm.
So as they're growing, I'm helping them, deal with growing the team, growing the architecture of the platform that they have. And really, at the end of the day, my goal is to get everything in a really great place so that then my predecessor, that full-time person, can come in and I've already built out a really kind of well-defined set of processes and culture within the engineering team that somebody can now dedicate full-time effort to.
Makes sense. Yeah. So that's a very interesting way of looking at it. Like saying you are contributing towards the organization, but in the long run, somebody else might be picking it up and like taking it forward. So that's a yeah, that does take a very different approach of how you handle things.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Some of my projects I've been serving as their fractional CTO for a couple years, and then
Mm-hmm.
I've got other projects where I'm just coming in, and we know that there is a definite end to that engagement. In
Yeah.
3 months, we are expecting this outcome, and then we're going to move on to this next phase.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us how you got started. Like, what got you interested? Like, I don't think anybody plans to be a fractional CTO. Like, they just come out of college and they'll be like, "Oh, I want to be a fractional CTO." I can imagine somebody saying, "I want to be a CTO." But how did you get started, and how did you reach where you are?
Yeah, so I started my career as a software engineer. Started as a junior building, software platforms. Most of my career, I've been working in business-to-business software,
Mhm,
typically in highly regulated industries like healthcare and in
mhm.
finance. So there's a lot of sensitive information that I'm very accustomed to dealing with.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my background is in security. And really,
Mhm,
that's where I started to do a lot more advisory work for organizations, where
mhm,
it's, hey, come in and review the this application, or can you do, some advanced testing on the application to make sure that everything is what it should be.
mhm,
And that really led right into kind of being fractional because I was able to work across multiple projects, across multiple clients, and those projects were at different stages of maturity. And I think that's where fractionals can be really successful is if, not everyone is trying to build their platform from the ground up day one. If I can come in at different stages, I'm able to provide a lot of valuable insight that an organization may not need of somebody full time or be able to afford somebody full time.
mhm.
A big part of it is organizations are only paying a fraction of the cost, but I bring my full, 2 decades worth of experience to the organization.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So I know you've been with the summit for what, 4 years, 5 years now?
Yeah, so Summit Labs is my organization, right? My business. And under that is where I've worked as a full-time contractor on certain projects or coming in freelance or part-time. And
Mhm.
so that's the way that I kind of structure things with my clients.
Okay, makes sense. And in terms of tool, like I know you mentioned you started off on finance and healthcare. Are you still in the same verticals, or like you're open to? I think like is there any sort of framework? Like, are you specifically working on a certain verticals or certain technologies or certain size of businesses? Like, how would you define your profile?
Yeah, so most of the time, my customers fit within the maturity of their project or their platform. So typically, it's always going to be a business to business software package. Uh,
Okay.
usually a SaaS platform.
Mhm.
And where I usually come in, and why I say it's at a maturity level, is when a company is looking to scale. Uh,
Mhm.
that's really they have something that's working. They
Mhm.
have paying customers and they need to grow not only the software so that it can
Mhm.
handle more users, but they need to
Mhm.
grow the team as well, and they
Okay.
need to add new features to the team. That's where I can come in and really accelerate an organization pretty quickly.
Makes sense. So that does bring a very unique perspective, right? Like focusing on software, and then like you probably need to know what's happening inside the company and what's happening with the customers as well. So that is very interesting. It takes a very different level of maturity and understanding and experience to be able to achieve that.
No, you're absolutely right. And I like to tell all of my teams that at the end of the day, technology is the easiest part of what we do, right? That it's just, it's table stakes for me. I understand the technology piece of it, but the
Hmm.
valuable part that I can bring is really understanding the business and how is it that we make money and what are the
Yeah.
concerns that our customers have. When
Yeah.
I understand that, then I can really unlock our growth.
Makes sense. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what are you seeing in the industry right now? What are some of the emerging trends without giving away any secrets, but like in general, like what you are seeing is going on in the industry.
Yeah, I have to say I haven't been this excited about being in technology than I am now in such a long time. Like just the proliferation of, everyone's favorite buzzword right now, AI, is really creating a seismic shift in the way that we are designing and developing software to how it's kind of integrating into the software that we use,
Mhm.
in our daily lives and in our work. And so I think that's a really exciting area. It is a challenge that I'm finding for a lot of organizations to figure out like, hey, we know we need AI and we want to integrate it into our
Yeah.
platform, but what does that start to look like? And I think that's the challenge that's really coming out. We're moving past, being able to play around with these tools and saying, hey, that's really cool, to now, how can I use this in my business so that we can accelerate, really quickly? And some of the trends that I'm seeing is we're still playing around with a lot of these tools and we're experimenting and we're finding new ways that we can uh, perform the same tasks in just more optimized ways. We can provide better customer experience and we're just more efficient at the end of the day.
Yeah. And AI is growing at such a fast pace. Like I spent a month in my own business identifying what AI-based image generation platform I wanted to use. I spent a month. I found one that I really liked, and 3 months later, the image generation within ChatGPT was better than what was there. So even though I committed to one, I'm like, the platforms and innovation is good. It's required, but it's just moving at such a fast pace. It's amazing, like how we can integrate everything that's happening.
You're absolutely right. I've signed up for more brand new tools in the last, 6 months than I think I have in the last 16 years.
Yeah,
It's just crazy what's available. And, I like to say that today is the worst day that we will ever experience when it comes
yeah.
to AI, right? We're constantly improving and new features and functionality is coming out every single day. It's wild.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like this week, I was looking at Notebook LLM with the automated podcast, and I was like, are we even going to be required? It's crazy what is possible with things now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about uh are you seeing like what segments and what business areas are you seeing AI being adopted right now?
Yeah, seeing a lot in just kind of more back office type operations across the board, whether it's in healthcare or in finance. Now, certainly in the more regulated industries, we're much more cautious on how do we leverage AI safely, and I think
Mhm.
that's a big, big concern. Not one that should keep us from experimenting and trying things out, but we just have to be a bit more cautious when it comes to how do we actually implement it. But a lot of the back office type administrative type
Mhm.
tasks that, frankly, a lot of us just don't enjoy doing. If
Yeah.
we can automate or completely eliminate some of those tasks, we're finding a lot of opportunity there. Sales is a huge
Hmm.
area where before I start to a conversation with a sales prospect, if I can do way more research than I was ever
Yeah.
able to do and really come prepared
Yeah.
for that conversation, there's a lot happening in that space. Same in the marketing and
Hmm.
A/B testing different marketing scenarios. So I think we're going to see a lot in that space, and it will continue to trickle down throughout all of our businesses.
Makes sense. Yeah. And that's what even I'm experiencing, like more of marketing and sales, and then a little bit on the operational side. Like I'm a pretty small business with very few resources compared to I like to be run a little lean by myself. So I always lean more on the technology and instead of adding a lot of staff. Just coming from a technology background, it's just natural to me to do that. So yeah, and going forward, like what do you see? Where do you see yourself, and where do you see the industry?
Yeah, I think what we're going to see, and really we're seeing a lot of it already, is probably smaller organizations that are much more targeted and niched down. So instead of seeing large development teams and large organizations, we're going to see much more of the 10 and 15 person startups that are able to produce multiple millions per
Mm-hmm.
year,
Mm-hmm.
and really able to serve their particular customer base just so much better. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we're going to see there's going to be a big demand for really experienced kind of software engineers that are able to really take these tools and unleash the power of them, really 5 and 10x an individual engineer's capabilities to accelerate these smaller businesses. I think those are the big areas I'm seeing a lot of traction.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of folks that are coming to me and asking for guidance and advice. They're trying to stay lean. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to stay small and figure out how can we get more out of these tools.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if somebody wants to pursue a similar career, like what's a starting point? Let's say somebody is coming into the industry, they're just fresh out of college, or they have experience doing something else in their life and willing to move into doing more of the tech, being in the tech industry. And if they want to pursue a career as a fractional CTO, like what's the path like?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, my path to get here certainly wasn't straight or smooth by any means. I think the values that I'm looking for folks is just an insatiable curiosity, wanting to play around with these tools, wanting to play around with technologies and build things. That's really where I learned the most. It wasn't in the college classes as much as it is really getting my hands dirty and building. And that's what I encourage folks to do. So really playing around with a lot of the tools and the technologies that are out
Mm-hmm.
there and understanding the business. I think that's a big gap that I see for a lot of folks as they move up into more of a leadership position is understanding the business. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what is it that, my day-to-day tasks, what impact does that have on the overall outcome of the organization? And when I understand that and I can create that, that link in my mind, I can just be, really, really impactful. And at that point, then I can certainly move into leadership roles, and then something like a chief technology officer or even serving fractionally becomes a lot more attainable.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, in terms of a career journey, like how much experience does a person need before they can pick up a role of a CTO? Like, would you call it based on the number of years they have been doing something, or is it based on the education they have? Like, what is needed to be a CTO?
Yeah, I'm careful to say you have to have a certain amount of years because I've seen a lot of people with 10 and 15 years of experience, but it's the same 1 year of experience times, 15
Yeah.
times. I think it's really important to have experience across a broad swath of
Mm-hmm.
different technologies, different projects, team
Mm-hmm.
sizes, just different levels of complexity, because
Mm-hmm.
each one of those gives you a new insight into the problems that you need to try and solve. So I would encourage folks, I mean, you really do need to have experience. You need to have spent time in the trenches to
Yeah.
know what mistakes to eventually avoid. And when you're in a leadership role like a CTO, there's a lot of pressure to make sure that we're making the right decisions. And like if we make the wrong technology decision, unfortunately, I've seen it ruin entire organizations, entire startups, just because we focused on the wrong thing from a
Yeah.
technology perspective.
Yeah, like it could be a simple CRM, and even in my business, like everyone just says the CRM that you use is the one that makes the most sense, right? There is just so many options and there is no wrong answer. But I have been through like at least 7 CRMs and pretty detailed implementations of the full CRM within the last 5 years. And it's crazy. Like I use one that I like now and I'm like happy with it. But it's just the selection of the wrong system could just transfer. And my needs were not very crazy. I just wanted a database where I have all my contacts and I should be able to like keep a note of what I spoke with somebody. That's all. And any software would be able to do that. A spreadsheet might be able to do it. Uh, but yeah, it's amazing just the selection of the CRM and how much of an impact it can have. And CRM is just one software that's not even the core of it. for my business, probably it's the core of the business because it's sales, but it's not even the core of a business, right? Like there is more, there is transaction and compliance and all the other pieces that are also needed. So, and tell us a little bit more about yourself in terms of uh, what would your next step look like? Like, will it be more larger organizations or more number of clients? Like, what drives you?
Yeah. So I think the next phase for me is to be able to serve more organizations and founders in an advisory capacity. I think that's where I've been able to really make the biggest impact for organizations.
Hmm.
And so, moving to do a little bit less of a hands-on implementation and much more in an advisory capacity. I was working with a founder earlier this week, and we were able to have an exchange of a handful of, voice notes over the course of a couple days. And in that exchange, was able to change a technology decision that he was getting ready to make that would have cost him at least $300,000
Yeah.
in different development costs and lost opportunity costs just over the course of what would be a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Being able to bring that to more people is really where I want to be.
Makes sense. And uh, how easy is it to get there? Like, would you expect certain organization structure within your client's organization? Like, do you expect them to have more of additional team leads, additional software developers, or operations manager? Like, what would help you to achieve that?
Yeah, I think it's organizations that just have a bit more structure already in place that now we can start to add, and I can really try and guide them to, okay, these are going to be the best ways to get the most out of your organization to make sure that you have the right people in the right seats,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, and really being able to guide them. But if I don't have something to already work with, it's a lot more difficult to then grow the team, grow the software itself. So
Mhm. Makes sense. Yeah. And just as I always like to ask as we are coming closer to the end of the episodes, like, what are some of the pieces of advice that you can give to somebody entering the tech industry? You did mention being curious as one of the important ones. Are there any others that somebody should be looking at and improving their skills?
yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to our EQ and really being self-aware of what are our skills, what are our strengths, and what areas do we have an opportunity to grow in.
Mm-hmm.
Really focusing in on what those strengths are because they can be the differentiator for us. I think if we really focus in there, a lot of the technology, it's just so easy for us to, look up the answers that we need. We don't need to memorize all the solutions. So it really comes down to more of our own awareness about ourselves. That's where we see a lot of differentiation.
Yeah, makes sense. And uh, so so I think if I just go back and like kind of put a few pieces together, so if somebody wants to be a fractional CTO or a CTO, they should have good experience across a broad spectrum of business aspects, technology aspects, and at the same time have perspective of what's happening in the industry and bringing in the right tools and resources and helping the business make the right decisions, right? So how much of the software development background helped you with that?
For me personally, it was really, really valuable. Like I still write code every single day, not as much,
Yeah.
um, but it's really valuable for me to understand what is going on in the software and to know, when my team is saying, "Hey, we're running into this issue," I have enough experience and exposure to so
Yeah.
many different projects that I understand what that impact is. And I also may have many tools in my toolkit that we can remove those blockers or we can change our approach
Mhm.
entirely. And so just having that breadth of experience is so, so important.
Yeah, makes sense. So just as we conclude this episode, any other final words that you would like to share with the audience?
I would just encourage everyone to just be curious. Like right now is just an amazing time. The amount of knowledge and information and capabilities that are just at our fingertips
Mhm.
is incredible. And finding new ways to use it every single day.
Mhm.
I wish I had an infinite amount of time to just go out and play and just play
Yeah.
with all these different tools. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And actually, just before I conclude, that brings me to a very important question. Where do you find the latest pieces of tech that's coming out? Like, is there a specific source that you rely on? Like, how do you get, what's the place from where you are currently learning about all the new products?
Yeah, the place that I typically stay up to date with so many things is email newsletters. There are a lot of great ones out there, podcasts, and a lot of folks are producing their podcasts on YouTube and YouTube as a podcast, and that's really really valuable. So I'll subscribe to a handful of folks there and really use that as a way to stay up to date.
Makes sense. Cool. Sounds great. So thanks for coming on the show and sharing all your valuable insights and helping our audience to learn and grow. Uh, and thanks for spending time on a very busy Friday with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Brian.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.